Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I am the host of this show. This is a special episode where I share with you one of my most popular blog posts. Before we get into it, this episode is brought to you by Rise25. Rise25 helps B2B businesses to get clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships with done-for-you podcasts and content marketing. If you are listening to this and have ever thought, should I do a podcast? We say yes. We specialize in helping B2B businesses with a high client lifetime value. So to learn more and get some more inspiration and ideas about how you could get clients, referrals, and some of the best friendships of your life from a podcast, go to rise25.com or email support@rise25.com. So here we go. I have a confession to make. I got fired by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let me explain. I'll start at the beginning. I just started dating this great girl, Nicole. We were in that honeymoon phase early in a relationship. You know the type, where you're always going out to eat and on weekend trips and generally annoying other people in public by being all lovey-dovey. I had also just bought my first house, a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow on a cute street in Sacramento. Shortly after I bought it, Nicole moved in. In short, life was good. Then storm clouds started to gather on the horizon. You see, I had a great job at the time. I was a speechwriter for the governor of California, and the governor had just been reelected for another 4-year term. You would think I was set for a few years. But it had been a rough couple of years for California. Unemployment was up, the dot-com bubble had crashed, and the state's economy was in the tank. The California energy crisis had cost the state billions and resulted in rolling blackouts. Not such a good thing in a state with companies like Apple and Google, which kind of need electricity to operate. People who weren't happy with all of these things started to gather signatures for a recall. At first, I and other staffers didn't think much of it. Sour grapes, we said. I had just made the major life decision to move from Sacramento to the San Francisco Bay Area with Nicole so that she could attend graduate school. It was a risky decision. Up to that point, I'd worked primarily in politics, and my network and all my connections were in Sacramento. If the recall passed, I'd be out of work and looking for a new job in a new town where I didn't know many people. I had also just bought the house in Sacramento barely a year earlier. We had to rent out the house, and we turned around and bought a condo close to where Nicole would go to school. I was a little stretched, to say the least. So I was planning to go to law school a year later, but I would need to work for a year to help pay for Nicole's school while she was not working. And then the week we were moving to our new home, Arnold Schwarzenegger went on The Tonight Show where he was promoting Terminator 3 and announced he was entering the recall election. I had one thought. Oh, shit. It was the perfect storm. In politics, you never want to run against a popular movie star with 100% name recognition, but the timing was especially horrible. There were just 2 months until the recall election. It was like a big steam train, and we all got run over by it. Long story short, the recall passed, and Schwarzenegger was elected. I was out of a job. It kind of felt like a sock in the gut. Here I was. I just moved to a new city. I'd rented out my house and bought a new condo. My girlfriend wasn't working because she was in graduate school, and now I was unemployed. But there's a silver lining to this story. I did land a new job before long. Nicole settled into her new graduate program, and we enjoyed our new home in a new town. But like most setbacks in life, there were some important lessons. Here are my major takeaways from the experience. Number 1, cultivate a big network. The worst time to look for a job is after you lose a job. The people who flail at finding a new job are the ones who don't have a big network or who haven't kept touch with that network while they were gainfully employed. There's nothing worse than losing your job and having to email or call someone you haven't communicated with in years. It looks completely self-serving. So you should always cultivate a big network and keep in touch with that network. It's easier than ever today with social media and sites like Facebook and LinkedIn. Number 2, develop your skills. Similarly, the worst time to need new skills is when you need them the most. In retrospect, I think I wasn't doing enough to develop my skills during this period. After 3 years in the same job, it wasn't so challenging anymore for me to write a 3-page speech. I could have done more to develop and hone my skills. Number 3, be brave and control your path. Put yourself in the driver's seat of your life and your career. Fortunately, I had already made the decision to follow my wife to grad school and eventually go to law school when the recall started. I had already put the wheels in motion of a new life. I think it would have been a rougher adjustment after the recall if I had planned to stay working in the same job. My decision to move to the Bay Area ended up working out well. I think I had an easier time getting a job because I wasn't competing with all my out-of-work colleagues. Number 4, always be prepared for the worst that could happen. The California recall election was unprecedented, but not unexpected. So the recall taught me that there truly is no, or at least very little, security in today's job market and economic climate. And as a result, I think it's important to always be prepared for the worst. I say to clients all the time, you don't pay a lawyer to assume everything is going to be rosy. You pay a lawyer to assume everything is going to go to shit and to help you make sure if it does, you're protected. I think that's a good approach for everyone. Always be ready in case all your assumptions were wrong and what you never thought would happen happens. Did I make the right decision? A few nights ago, I wondered to myself if I made the right decision to leave Sacramento and move to the Bay Area in the middle of the recall. I had to rent out my house, had to buy a new condo, which ended up being a bad investment, and had to scramble to get a new job in a new city. As I thought about it, I walked down the hall to my son's room. I watched him while he was sleeping, his little chest rising and falling softly in the faint light of the room. Nicole and I married 2 summers after the recall, and Mason was born a few years later. I couldn't imagine my life without him or Nicole. I don't know if he would be here today if I hadn't made the decision to follow Nicole. I'd rather not know the answer to that question. So the next time you face a big decision in the midst of chaos, remember that sometimes the best decision is to take a deep breath, be brave, and forge ahead.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.